unit, San Jose PD is requesting a BOL for a suspect vehicle involved in a shooting with two 1144 victims. This occurred at 150 South 1st Street in San Jose. The vehicle is coming back out of Newark. It's going to be a silver 2012 Hyundai four-door, paper plate of David George 40 George 93. Coming back clear in a 2012 Hyundai four-door out of Newark, address showing on Haley Street, occupied by four males. Driver described as a Hispanic male, black over black. Passenger also seen wearing black over black. And again, this is a suspect vehicle involved in a shooting in San Jose out of Newark, occupied by four. And again, it's a...
What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collected Clips, where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's get this intro in. Super Bowl Sunday done got deadly in San Jose. Welcome back to the channel, and if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking, and I appreciate the support. I'm very humbled by it. So 7 shootings, 2 dead in San Jose in less than 24 hours. Super Bowl Sunday, score, right? Everybody scored, and some people got unscored, and it's unfortunate, man, but cities like San Jose are off the hook come Super Bowl time. Does the Super Bowl have anything to do with it? Not necessarily, but it's definitely a time when people are out and about, and there seems to be a lot more YMs out there. I didn't say YN, I said YMs. Young Mexicans out there creating chaos. Young thugs out there looking and hunting for violence. They're hunting for any type of animosity and any type of person to trip. I've literally seen people, as you walk by them in San Jose, say, "What's up? What's up?" Like in that type of manner, trying to create some type of animosity, some type of friction, some type of bullshit so it can go down. San Jose is deadly like that. In less than 24 hours, 7 shootings and 2 people unalive. Now, I do have exclusive footage that is put out there on other social media sites, not this one, that shows the shootings. And I could say they're very frivolous. A fight gone wrong, you know, when young guys, this new generation, happen to run into each other, anything can spark a flame. And most definitely it happened over the weekend. Now, 7 shootings. Does that mean there was actually a young crew out there looking for people to shoot at, looking for people to victimize? Or is it a situation of back and forth? Now, there is several names that are popping up, and people are accusing gang members of creating this chaos. But kind of the people I talked to in San Jose feel that it's more of a non-gang related issue. There may have been some gang members involved, but it wasn't a north-south thing. It wasn't red and blue. It was more just people having problems or issues with people on the spot. And that sparked something that they could not put out. Now, has there been retaliatory shootings? Probably. That's usually how it goes down. You know, usually when one thing happens, it has the domino effect and people start shooting everywhere. So it's kind of a crazy. You heard the bolo that was put out by the police department, man. That was sent exclusively to me by a channel that ran off Instagram. They had the bolo. They sent it to me. So I was able to add that to the pictures of the scene. And that was actually the bolo of them looking for the accused suspects, 4 male Mexicans that obviously or allegedly did this shooting. Okay. Whether they were apprehended or not, I don't know right now. But I do know that they pretty much had down what they were driving in and where they were from. I tell you guys, those license plate readers are crazy. They'll take it down to the T to right exactly your front doorstep. So if you're out there doing shootings in your own vehicles, you're probably going to be locked up within 24 hours. Now, 7 shootings, what does that mean? Does that mean they're going to stop? Probably not, man. They're probably not going to stop till either the shooters get tired, get apprehended, or things kind of just fizzle out on their own. 2 people were unalive, and people are saying that one of the guys that was killed is an active gang member from a certain barrio neighborhood in San Jose. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. This is just what people are putting out there. so I'm not going to say his neighborhood nor who he is, but he's pretty well known in that area. Now, according to what I've seen, and I can just tell you guys what I've seen on the video that's been put out there, it looked like some youngsters, young from the younger generation, some Edgars, got into a fight. It seemed like one of the guys was on the ground. He was getting stomped out pretty good. He was getting beat up. There was females involved. You know, a typical night out. People are probably inebriated, drunk, high, and someone said something bad to somebody, or they seen someone that they disliked, and they got off where they were mad at. Now, in the midst of doing all this, somebody towards the end of the video pulls out a gun and lets loose. Now, who did it? I don't know, but somebody did. There was 2 victims. 2 people were killed. Now, subsequently, since that has happened, there's been several other shootings and people have been hit, but no one has died. They say there's one guy in critical condition right now. It's not looking too good. So whoever's out there running around doing these shootings, he has a lot to run for, you know. But it's just crazy how one thing could spark a domino effect. You know, and Super Bowl weekend is pretty crazy in every city. I remember, and I'm going to tell you guys a story about Super Bowl weekend in Merced. We had a club that we used to go to called Maloney's. It's no longer there. They changed the name. I think it's called O'Reilly's now or something else. Same club, different name. But back in the days when we used to go there, man, that was gang central. Different neighborhoods. I mean, there was guaranteed a fight every single night. It was 100% it was going to pop off. And I remember this one particular night, right? There was a group of guys that had come from the Navy. I don't know how they popped up in Merced. Ain't no fucking water close to us, but the Lake Yosemite, right? But these guys were on leave from the Navy, and they decided, you know, to come to that club. Unbeknownst to them, because none of them were from the city of Merced, and I don't know who they knew to get there, but they popped up at our club. Now, when we got there, gang members, we felt like that was our establishment, our club, that belonged to us, and I think every other gang in Merced felt the same exact way. That was their spot. Whoever was deepest that night, they controlled that spot. But my neighborhood pretty much had that spot on lock. When we'd get there, we felt like ghetto celebrities. Everybody be laughing. And we'd go there pretty thick, 20, 30 deep, several women with us. And it was just like we took over that spot. We started to tell the DJ to play this particular song, that particular song. If you're a Norteño, you're from a neighborhood and you have a spot that you go to, it becomes over time your guys' spot. Everybody knows that's where you guys are at. Like dumbasses, everybody knew where to pull up. And there were several times the opposition would pull up, shoot outside of the club, or even come up in the club, and we'd get off where we're mad at. There were several melees in that spot. I know because I went to prison about that spot, right? That's how dangerous that spot was. But this night, man, we weren't looking for no trouble. Usually we'd go in there. We're in there trying to check people's prison paperwork, hitting people up on the spot, gangbanging, just being youngsters doing youngster shit. Okay, even though we were all over 21, we didn't act like it, not even close. You know, we were so ingrained in the gang lifestyle and trying to prove we were big and bad and in control of something that we didn't even own, that we overlooked all the other shit just to create bullshit. And that was real, right? So this night, I remember that we were at the Homegirls pad and we all decided like, hey, let's go out to the club. Let's have some drinks. Let's go chill. Usually that's how it started. It sparked by a conversation. Hey, let's go have a few drinks. We couldn't just kick it at the house and have a case or a 30 pack. We all had to load up in all these carloads deep, get all flamed up, and go to these clubs to gangbang. Okay, so I remember this night, that wasn't my intention. The homeboys I was with, that wasn't our intentions. Our intentions was to go in there, swoop up some bad chicks, take them back to the pad, and hit them with that retaliation as a must where we're from. Didn't work out that way. In fact, we got retaliated on, so we had to retaliate back. And unfortunately, man, people got beat up, me included. So what happened that night is when we get there, we notice it's kind of a different atmosphere. All the gang members, it was Super Bowl weekend, I'll never forget, right? And all the gang members, I guess, were at sports bars or wherever. So we weren't into watching the Super Bowl. Unless it was the Raiders, I didn't give a fuck. I'm wearing Chargers, talking about Raiders. I'm a real one. But unless it was our team that was playing, we really could care less, and it wasn't. This year in particular, I remember it was the Indianapolis Colts and the Chicago Bears. Holla if you hear me. You guys remember that one? Chicago Bears, Indianapolis Colts. And I think the Colts won. Peyton Manning won and shit. But anyways, we were there at the club that night. And we're all kicking back. And as soon as we walk in, like I said, a little bit of a different atmosphere, a little bit of different. You could just tell there was a different type of vibe. And there was these 4 or 5 dudes, pretty big kind of dudes. They were dressed regular, not like gang members. You could tell they weren't in the mix. They were there at the club, right? And what happens, we went with a whole bunch of our homegirls, and usually the chicks would all dance together because they knew better than to fuck with us, right? But they'd all dance together unless the homeboys wanted to dance with them, and we were too busy trying to be hardcore gang members that we were too cool to dance. That's it. We just wanted to kick back and check paperwork at the door. So as people are coming in that we recognize is starting to get live in there. Now, of course, it's Super Bowl weekend. What happens after the Super Bowl is played? Everyone wants to go out and continue the party. They done ate some bomb food at home. They done drank. Now they want to continue the party, right? And so what better to do than go to a club and have some drinks, dance, and take you a torta home? That was my plan. Didn't work out that way. Torta had to throw me in her car, take me to the hospital, then home. Anyways, so there was some chicks there, some new chicks. So that was our whole plan, me and all the homeboys. We'd take all the homegirls with us and their old ladies and shit. You guys dance together, and we'd send a couple good-looking homeboys, me, right? And a couple other homeboys, and we'd go fucking try to pop at anything moving and try to take them back to the after party with us and hopefully send our ladies home and kick it with them and then send them home and call our ladies back. That was the game plan. Ready, hike, right? Peyton couldn't have said Omaha and threw that one. Not even Rich Cannon with the Gannon arm could have made that happen. Not even Stan Humphries could have bumped me. I'm telling you, I was really in the mix. So as I'm fucking floating around, there's some chick from Madera, bad as hell, right? I'm popping at her like, what's up? She's already agreeing that her and her homegirls might want to do a little after party. So we're already thinking, man, look, she looks so bad. I can see all my homegirls already mean mugging her, looking her up and down. You know, chicks are always in competition. So my whole plan was to dissect and affect these chicks and send them this way, send these that way. We was about to do the Jersey Shore and keep them in the same house in 2 different rooms. It was good. We were going to grenades. It was about to go down, right? And what happened was these dudes, we noticed that the homegirls started dancing with these dudes. These dudes that no one knew where they were from. Usually we'd hit everyone up like, hey, if we didn't recognize, where you from, homie, where you from? But it wasn't that vibe that night. It was kind of just like, get a torta night, right? Super Bowl Sunday. Everyone's trying to have a fun day. So when one of my homeboys recognizes this, he's like, fuck that, right? So he goes and hits, oh boy, one of the dudes up, like the biggest dude too. He's like, hey, bro, where you from? And that dude's like, man, get out of here, bro. I ain't no fucking gang member. He felt some type of way about gang members. Well, we felt some type of way because we were gang members and we felt we were being disrespected, which we were, which we deserved because we're in there looking like poop butts. These dudes are G'd up, smelling like Gucci, guilty, and we're just guilty. And we ain't Gucci, right? So, of course, another one of my homeboys feels froggy, so he leaps into the mix. Next thing you know, we're having an all-out riot with these Navy dudes. And let me tell you something. I done trained in the California Youth Authority. I done trained in Tracy DVI Gladiator School. I done been in Old Corcoran, New Corcoran, Susanville, Jamestown, several prisons. But I ain't never been to where they were at because they was putting fucking dick beaters on everybody. I mean, there was a couple homeboys handling business, but not very many, right? These dudes were boop, 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 beep, beep, boop, boop, right? They was putting that in the Navy on us, right? They was putting armed forces down. I learned my lesson, right? I started, from that day on, I supported the shit out of the motherfucking armed forces because they had me in the arm bar, forcing me in the corner. Let me tell you something. I was getting fucked up. Ping, ping, ping. That chick from Madera was trying to help me. Stop. My old lady at the time, she said, bitch, get off him. I'm getting jumped by 2 chicks and a dude, right? And it was all bad. I remember the chick from Madera carried me to her car, threw me in that motherfucker, took me to the hospital so they could revive me with Vivarin. And then we ended up going to a hotel, and I did have it my way, only it was tachueco because my shit wasn't as perfect as it was before, right? The whole gist of that is that shit pops off on Super Bowl Sunday, right? There was a couple shootings that actually happened that night. They're trying to say it was behind that situation, but it wasn't. It was totally unrelated on the whole nother side of town. But I just can tell you first and foremost how shit goes down on Super Bowl Sunday. Back to San Jose. Very different here. What you have here is because it's a Super Bowl and everyone's out and about, I think these youngsters take it as it's like a reason to go out there and create chaos. They use that as a reason to go out there and fuck around and act real super. You know, I'm very surprised that there wasn't a lot of North and South issues with the shooting that just happened at that pizza parlor and those 2 older cats being arrested for the shooting of a 17-year-old. I'm very surprised that there's been no really retaliation about that. But what I've been told by dudes from San Jose that I fuck with was that this situation, according to what they know, was not North or South, but was just a bunch of youngsters just getting into it, just creating chaos, getting crazy on Super Bowl Sunday. That's still something to look at, though. 7 shootings in 24 hours. That's a lot of shootings. And we're talking about separate incidences. We're talking about a lot of different people being shot. You know, the 2, like I said, where they lost their lives. That was crazy, man. To see the actual footage being posted online, it makes you wonder. That's kind of a scandalous thing because their families have to see that, their friends, their loved ones have to see their last seconds, their last minutes. I did see video. If you looked at what I did show you, that's a person being a body on the ground and a person trying to be revived. It's just created chaos, man. These youngsters nowadays don't give a fuck about no one or anything. Disrespect is like that. Some people take disrespect that's not even meant to be disrespectful, and next thing you know, you got people losing their lives on a day that's supposed to be festive, on a Super Bowl Sunday where everyone's supposed to have a good time. Now, this did happen on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, these shootings. So it was over the Super Bowl weekend. So it was not necessarily tied in with the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl can't be blamed for it. But I've noticed in my history of gangbanging and doing what I've done, certain days of the year, man, are worse than others. And there's always some shit that goes down on the Super Bowl. It's because there's more people. It's a lot of people are congested. So anyways, with that being said, man, I just wanted to shed light on that. Like I said, there's a lot of stories going around on social media about who was shot. You're not going to hear that here. Who was killed and why? That's their business, man. Unfortunately, it had to happen. Violence begot violence. And is that it? Is there going to be more shootings and retaliation? Are these all related, or is just one domino fell and then a whole bunch of people started fucking slapping bones? I don't know. But one thing I know for sure is San Jose was off the hook this weekend, man. And it's crazy. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly and honestly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. On a side note, there's a lot of people that have been requesting bedtime stories. If you want me to get back to some bedtime stories, hit a 1, because the story I just told you ended with a pura 10-5 a key bedtime story that I could tell you, because best believe that injury didn't last long, but hers did. So let me know if you guys want me to get back to the bedtime stories on this channel right here in particular, and hit a 1 and I'll do that, or just let me know straight up you want those. If not, that's cool. I got a whole lot of more for you, a whole lot of more. With that, man, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the love, man. This video is sponsored by Vario Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're in the Turlock area, go out there and get you something cold to drink at the Vario. Also, it is sponsored by Sticks and Stones Yard Service out there in Arizona. If you're in the area, Google the man, Sticks and Stones Yard Service, and have him come hook your shit up. Or just do it yourself and stop being lazy. Nah, call the homeboy. He's probably better at it. Bang, bang.